Hello everyone and welcome to our 101 How to Cope Without Therapy today. And because it is a lovely afternoon and by now it's almost 8 o'clock at night, I decided today we will just keep it light, touch on some theories, but maybe just ponder. And to ponder, sometimes you need a little incentive. Given that I've actually spent the last 3 hours doing a bit of research into incentives, disincentives, motivation, operant conditioning, behavior, and other lovely things for my units. Today, on the other hand, I'm not going to talk about any of that because there's something else that bugs me. Well, it doesn't really bug me, but you know me and my buzzwords. Today, I wanted to talk to you a bit about normal and abnormal. There is such a thing, believe it or not. Well, you better believe it because most of us nowadays, when we are assessed or reviewed by a doctor, usually the assessment is not so much focusing on the normalities but mainly on the abnormalities. But there is such a thing called abnormal psychology, and without getting into what that is, what actually made me think of this and talk about this was how it is that we in fact decipher or decide what is normal and what is not normal, as in abnormal. And the simplistic way of what it isn't, contrary to popular belief maybe, abnormality is never about right or wrong, good or bad. It actually has much more to do with what norm is or normality, and how much within that normality, how much of it remains statistically unlikely to happen or to occur, and more or less nowadays what is normal or abnormal gets decided by us, as in us being society, being part of the culture that we're in, us as the actual tribe where it is that we see ourselves belonging or living. That's probably the better reference point, because if you think about it, mind you, when we debate things like culture or society, we usually tend to take this sort of stance that we're here and here is society and the culture and it's all there. But the truth is, we actually are society. We are culture. We are in fact part of what it is, both normal and abnormal. So the debate nowadays is more or less what is normal, what are the norms, what is acceptable. And abnormality is not so much about what is not acceptable as it is about mainly the level of distress it causes. And here we introduce two more dimensions, as in, okay, I get it, abnormal level of distress or harm, brilliant. For whom? So who's to say, where's that arbitrary reference point that says this is harmful for me? I mean, it's obvious when it comes to harmful for others, but when it comes to harmful for me, how does abnormal fall into that category to be evaluated? And again, depending on where it is that you live, normal and abnormal can vary from north to south pretty much. And even think of it, this is something that I was talking about earlier today with someone very dear to me, and out of a fluke of a moment, we just started talking about how much does it cost for a country or a government to buy or manufacture weapons. And without getting into politics, I can tell you that is in the range of millions, billions, and those kind of illions. My point is that in some of the Western societies, it just somehow appears quite normal for weapons to be bought. Because whereas in some parts of the world, weapons have no need, meaning, significance, and well and truly, they are abnormal. So what it is that would make anyone focus on abnormality? And how do we know that our behavior and what it is that I do and how it is that I talk to you or someone else around me in my kingdom or purely someone that I interact with, how do we know that that is not normal? Because remember, at the beginning we said it's not about right or wrong, and it's not about good or bad, because we know what is right, wrong, good, bad. So if I meet with someone and stare at their outfit and make a negative comment about it, that's not a good type of interaction, and chances are it will escalate from there into something else. But that does not make it abnormal. So normality and what we deem normal stretches with every tribe and with every individual within that tribe. More so because when it is that we interact with others, we put forward this lovely smoke and mirrors persona that we try to stay within the norms and do the right thing. There's another buzzword for you. Do the right thing. How often, or not so much, it is for us to do the right thing by circumstances or another person, when in fact it is actually detrimental and harmful even, and distressing to us. And one of the things that, and the best example I can give you now is, you know, those being okay and saying that you're okay when in fact you're not. You're perhaps in a turmoil inside, but you still, for some reason, for some stupid normality reason, we choose to put forward the smoke and mirrors and say, yeah, all good, we're okay, I'm okay. And the truth is, here's another twist in the whole thing. The older you get, the bigger the tendency to diminish those smoke and mirrors, and in fact just, let's call it, speak your mind and just be honest and truthful, and choose not to follow the norms that much, choose to be a little bit of a rebel, and be a bit more honest and a bit more truthful about what makes you you, about the good, the bad, the right, the wrong, the normal, but also about the abnormal. And sometimes we just, when it comes to abnormal, we transform that, and it comes across as absolutes, as black and whites. Even though we're not black and white, we're just as colorful as any rainbow, really, as anyone else. But we get this tendency to, I guess, stop faking the normal and go a little bit into the deviant side and embrace abnormal, or what is not statistically majority. And that abnormality, for some reason, has a negative connotation to it. But you know, there is such a thing as being creative and artistic and off the scale and abnormal, and there's nothing wrong with that. So my point is, if you find it very close to your limits to perhaps step outside the normality of things, don't judge yourself too much. Take it as it comes, and explore your own abnormality. It can be the most beautiful thing you discover about yourself. And talking about beautiful things, I've got here a lovely new book that I've came across in one of my wanders, and it is by Nan Whitcomb. It's one of her poetry volumes. It's called The Thoughts of Nanushka, and I like that. And this particular volume is volume 7 out of Love, Tears and Dreams, and one I'm gonna read to you. Believe it or not, it doesn't even have the pages numbered. It's just beautiful words on beautiful paper, and some really artistic drawings that are just inspiring. But this particular one, and it has no title, just remember, it's The Thoughts of Anushka out of Love, Tears and Dreams. Now this one says, when the world is at its worst and the darkest side shows through, when fear burns into hate and greed obscures the view, when no one seems to care and autumn winds blow cold, The old don't understand, the young despise the old. When life keeps turning grey, I need my rainbow's end, or a patch of blue where the sun shines through, and I need you. And I thought that was beautiful and creative and bringing out the absolutes of not so normal. Thank you so much. Have a beautiful evening, and we'll talk tomorrow.